Good morning, Danny.
Good morning, sunshine.
Just started the live stream just to get going. Live stream's been
Okay,
working really well as of late, last couple months.
nice. I was looking at the playlists, and it felt like we were like a month behind on several of them. I'm not sure that the DAP ones are being recorded.
I don't think the DAP ones are being recorded. Yeah. No, I think I'm pretty prolific with the live streaming, and Chris is as well. But I don't think Michael's really been like, yeah, let's do it. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the DAP meetings are pretty boring. Uh, let's look.
Oh, for real? Yeah. It
So,
would be great to spice them up though and get some interest in them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the DAP meeting is very, I don't know, like it's like let's just catch where we're at with the DAP and go over GitHub issues, and it's probably a necessary evil, a boring necessary evil.
Yeah. Mm. So I'm looking for you have a second decentral spreadsheet of people who are accepted, right?
Yeah, people who
Feel like
I can
yeah.
find it.
If you can find that faster than me, I've already spent about 10 minutes digging for it, and I want to give that to Paulina and David.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Good morning, Chris.
You you look so royal, Game of Thrones-y, Griff, with like your bed behind you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing's rad.
Hey guys.
Okay.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Gus. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Gus.
Well guys, how are you doing?
Great. Well, let's get this party started. I'm sure more people will roll in, but we always start with like, hey, what did you do this week? So who wants to start?
I can start.
Good job. Okay, Chris.
So what did I do this week? So I joined the DApp design meeting, and then my screen went blank. Oh yeah, there we go. And I participated actively in that one. I did the regular social media checks and updates for Giveth, but also for the comment stack. I created a Lumia proposal on Unicorn DAC, which we're probably going to talk about today. I was in contact with the progression designers people because they still wanted to have some answers. So that's probably going to happen. They wanted to, like, if you guys remember, work on like improving all sorts of collaboration. So they wanted some more details how we're going to promote them. And I said, like, yeah, whatever you guys want. They wanted to have a lot of assurances. Then there was the comms meeting with quite some action points coming out of that one, the reward call. And then after this one, there's going to be a quick social coding call with Bowen, so that one is still coming up, and then comment stack call tomorrow. And that is probably about it, because as I said before, I'm trying to work on halftime because I'm mostly working in my house. And I give it to Danny.
Awesome. Right now, my brain is filled with decentral. I spent some time this week making sure we have a solid team of people, because that makes it a lot more fun and easy to do when we have the right people in the right roles. But besides that, participated in a lot of the DAP stuff on Monday. I've got some new issues in there. And so we had both the DAP development meeting and the design meeting, which I'm pretty excited about how those are shaping up. Lots of reward DAO work this last week, getting, believe it or not, April totally closed out so we could score. and get the milestones up. We've got a lot of improvement in the DAP and milestone creation process. Better success right now with people creating their milestones and getting their videos in them, which is awesome. Um, I also have a Lumia up there, which was really interesting to realize that we actually have the same exact code of conduct already, but nobody on the call even really knew that or had a relationship to it. So I thought that was kind of interesting to take a look at and see how we want to evolve that going forward. Other than that, been putting some thought into onboarding donors and contributing it to all of the meetings this week from a perspective of what is it that we're working on that other people care about, and how can we get some good collaborations going. Yeah, I think I'll pause it there, because all my other pages seem to be decentral focused. So I'll pass it over to Gus.
Okay, now you can hear me. Nice. Well, this last week has been very a lot of distractions, but the good kind of distractions. I have been in the non-certain conf in Leon with Alex. I was there actually for 5 days. I think it extended a little bit more than usual. Um, there I had a talk about contextualizing people about Deus basically, but they also mentioned some highlights about the common stack and trying to leverage also people's feedback about that is a new concept to most of them. But out of that, I had a chat with some guys that are working on Climate Coin. I don't know if you have heard about that. It's basically an initiative that started here in Spain. They are tokenizing carbon bonus. At the end of the day, it's nothing innovative. They are only taking profits in the carbon bond market stuff, no? But they are willing to start what is called climate initiative, blockchain for climate initiative. They got interested in the common stack and they were making me question about what's going on there, and I think there could be funding opportunity if the bridge, let's say, are closed somehow. So wanted also to ask your feedback about that. Also, I shared a lot of insights with uh, Grace about the blockchain for humanity, the stack that these guys are all building up, and she has asked me to help them in a session that they will have in Berlin for the Web3 Summit. So, and I also have also other stuff to do here in Europe during the summer. So, summing those two things, I think I'm gonna pass to the central this week. I still have my my ticket that I asked to buy, but I will be happy to share it with the central in case they gave it to me. So that's pretty much from my side. Although I didn't have the time to be around the DAP, but you know that guys that I'm interested in helping you out there. And giving having said so, and pass it to Marco.
Hey, hi everyone. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, works. All right, Jitsi
Yep.
works. Hi everyone.
Hey,
So what do we got? Intentions, directions, right?
Yep. What intentions, distractions, and what you worked on this week for Giveth?
All right, all right. Intentions. Great agenda. I wanted to be here and talk about the code of conduct. What else? The Giveth meta cartel thing. I'm interested to hear more about that. And last week, or no, last week, this week, right? Well, yeah, we had a design meeting. I think I briefed everyone during the design meeting. It was a long brief from my side, so a lot of things going on over there. Moving slowly with some of the design work around Giveth. So that's the update on that. No distractions at this point, other than outside is like temperature super high, but I'm in a nice coffee shop with a air condition, so it's nice. And I'll pass it on. Who didn't go? I'm not sure. I just tuned in, so maybe Griff,
Yeah, I haven't
you
gone.
or
Yeah, I can go.
okay,
So
cool.
lots of fun stuff this week with the family, and like I went to a Spokane meetup, crypto meetup. There were 5 people, 2 girls though, which is cool. So good gender equality there, and just really doing a lot of family stuff. But I still found time for Giveth and other things. Had to upgrade the XDAI node and get help with that. I've been doing a lot of decentral planning. A lot of the work, Danny's been setting everything up on a tee for me, so I can just knock it down. So that's been really great. And passed out a lot of donations. Spent a lot of time on the DApp, and just always sad how hard it is to donate on the DApp. So I have to make some issues around that. I'm setting up to be some part of a social impact hackathon in New York while I'm there for like 4 or 5 days. So and looking for a couch to crash on in New York, if anyone knows anybody. Telegraph has been a little wild and been helping them out a little bit. DAppNode is trying to do a bonding curves, and also Andreas is trying to do bonding curves on top of the Giveth DApp. So I wrote a spec with the Argon Black guys about what we would need to do to connect the Argon Finance app to the Giveth DApp. I spent a lot of time on that this weekend, actually. And GraceAid is going to be the first like beta user of that application, or at least this is what we're proposing to them. So hopefully that is pushed forward. Lots of Common Stack stuff, of course. Still playing with roadmap and numbers, reviewing some articles, and trying to get content out with Jeff. And yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a bunch of other stuff too, but that's more than enough. Let's see. Bowen, pass it to you.
Good morning, everybody. Let's see. I'm interested to hear more about the who is it that we're lending the name to? It's just so early. I'm sorry, I'm just waking up and my brain isn't firing on all cylinders. But the Lumio about Metacartel, yes, I want to hear more about that. I'm distracted by just waking up, and this week has been pretty Burning Man intensive for me. Trying to get that stuff together, and also just made some long needed changes to the social coding greetings, and started a new questionnaire so we can hopefully more appropriately cater to the people that actually wish to participate in channel. And with that, has everybody else gone?
I don't think Josh or Kai have gone.
Josh?
Hello. This week, I've just been kind of looking at graph databases again, talking to Roberto and Brian about various hackalong bits, because we have hackalong 0 in a week. And also talking to some people called Permalab about kind of different stuff. Other than that, I've been creating CSV files of my data to then load into these graph databases, so all my previous business cards, so I can dump them here at my parents' home in Ireland and not have to carry them with me as I travel. I'm curious as well about Metacartel, because I've got some friends who are doing some stuff with them in East Berlin, the Pillar Crew, but they're also quite interested, as in Jacek and Yelena, in doing grassroots community stuff with no branding on it, etc. So I made a quick intro for Jacek to the Pro Tier guys that we met, so that maybe they can collaborate in the future or whatnot. And I'm just trying to align participants around Hackalong 1 after we get Hackalong 0 done. Hackalong 1 will be important, and I'm seeing Shelling Point Berlin as quite a good place to do that. That's me.
I think it's Kai. Are you the last one?
All right. I've mainly been on vacation, concentrating on family time. Actually, I'm not gonna charge anything this week. However, still did some work, but mostly communication. Most interesting, probably getting a node for us online and on Web3, which we'll have a call on Monday, Tuesday with Lindsay. So anybody who wants to come, just ping me. We're still trying to find if it's Monday or Tuesday. Some other comms related stuff with like block science, Maxim and Chuck and 4IR Labs and Hackalong, and yeah, I don't want to go too long. Marco has gone, I take it then.
Yeah, I think everyone else is gone, right?
All right.
Okay, so let's start the show. The first agenda topic is Meta Cartel. So the Lumio is kind of fresh, so maybe you guys didn't see it, but I got it in just a touch after the 24-hour window. But I'm happy to push it along as long as there's no objections. But in general, the idea is that Meta Cartel has a DAO. It's a fork of Moloch, and they're asking for people to donate to it and be participants in how they end up spending the money. And I would really like to be a part of it. And but it's just a partial member, so I'm just going to throw in 10 Ether as a donation to support better UX in the space. And Peter suggested that I do it under the Giveth brand. There's a lot. I think everyone voted yes on it, but I at least want to give a reaction round, or maybe give a space for quick questions about it if there's any other ideas. But the proposal, in short, is just that I donate 10 Ether to Meta Cartel, and I put and I say that Giveth is participating in that effort. Clarifying questions?
Yeah, it was interesting. I just read the Medium thing. I don't know if there is other information about the actual DAO itself, and it's a bit vague. Like, they forked Moloch, okay. They seem to follow different rules. And just one question: it seemed like to be a DAO of DAOs. So, or is that not the case? Because they said, like, you share the data, and the more data you share, the more stake you have in the DAO.
I don't know. That's an interesting analogy. I don't know if they're going to issue shares via proposals for people to share, like, reports, is my guess, something along those lines. But does anyone else know a lot about this? Marco, maybe are you deep in there?
Yeah, I had a call with Peter today, actually, as I wanted to be part of the the Meta Cartel DAO as well. Currently they're accepting like 10 ETH, I think, is the minimum for the participation. So I said, like, I don't have it 10 ETH right now, but I want to participate. I want to be part of a community, building something great, work maybe with some people around some projects, or even just like offer some help or expert review or advice or whatever. In terms of the DAO, the Kai, what you were asking, I think neither Peter knows, because it's like currently everything is, they're just building that stuff, right? So they're just like fork the Moloch DAO and building everything around that. So I don't think like they have, set up everything, and it's everything is in the making. So I'm not aware of any rules around that. That's as far as I know. Yeah, and there will be the Meta Cartel demo day in Berlin. So I guess we will learn more about it over there. And by the way, one more thing. Yeah, it's a great initiative, I think, because they really want to push forward the development of the ecosystem and developers and UX and all, and usability, most importantly. And I've been invited to a couple of Meta Cartel Telegram groups where we're where actually people started brainstorming great ideas, like really, really great ideas. And we even proposed like, let's do a design sprint and let's build something like in a couple of days um, and do a prototype or whatever. So people are really, really engaged. I think Ryan from the foundation also on his own actually proposed to that the foundation actually offers them a grant. So that's like his self initiative. That's what he said on the group. So yeah, things are rolling. I think it's a great thing. I think the Meta Cartel is a great thing, a great opportunity for the whole ecosystem. So I'm glad to follow that and help where I can. Yeah, that's everything I know for now.
Thanks, Marco.
Mhm.
Well, okay, so let's do a quick reaction round, or any other clarifying questions?
Yeah, I have one. If you do this, Griff, does this having Giveth on the site, will that prevent us of still applying for a grant through Metacartel? Well, because that might influence it, right?
No,
In a positive or negative way.
it's actually the opposite. You can only apply for a grant if you are in the Meta Cartel. If you have shares. So you have to have shares to propose. So like, I mean, other people could propose for us. I'm sure we could be like, Peter, can you propose this for us? But if you have shares yourself, then you can actually propose. Okay, so then let's do a quick reaction round. Be conscious of time because there's a lot of us. Who wants to start?
I can go.
I love DAOs, and I give it to Chris.
Sorry, Kai. Okay. Yeah. So for me, this is okay as well. I just saw actually on their website that you can just like hit apply to the Meta Cartel Accelerator. So to me, it seems that you can also apply without being part of the Meta Cartel. Yeah, I just hope we will apply for grants. And a question that's also a bit of a clarifying question is like how there's no explanation where on like how they get funds except for like the 10 ether that like participants send in. So I'm wondering if they have other places they get funding. And I give it to Josh.
I don't really have a reaction. I like DAOs too, but just to add some information for Kai, Jacek, the guy I'm trying to introduce you to, ReWeb3, they're involved in the demo day because Metacartel are doing Pillars meta transactions. So if you want to speak to him about that, he might have some more information. And I pass it to Marco.
Oh, thanks, Josh. I just want to follow up on what Chris you said that you can apply to the accelerator. I actually did that for the Watchtower thing that I was starting out with a friend of mine. So it basically goes through the F6S something like that website. The traditional startup kind of application. So yes, you can apply on that. Other than that, I think I gave my reaction previously. So it's a great initiative, and it's a great that we support it, and especially putting a Giveth brand on these kind of good things is always a good. It's always a good idea. Like promoting the brand in that way. So yeah, and I pass it on to Danny.
Yeah, I guess my response is favorable. I'll go beyond saying I love DAOs just to say I love the people that I've seen engaged in this process so far and seeing how it's evolved, and the collaboration opportunities excite me. And I'm happy to see this coming to fruition because I'd like to see more pathways for how I can involve myself personally in these DAOs, and doing so on behalf of Giveth here feels like a great opportunity to me. And Gus, have you had a chance to react?
No, not yet.
Passing it
Yeah,
to you.
well, yeah, thank you. Yeah, for me, it has absolutely sense to join that kind of DAOs, and yeah, please go on, do it already. And we have who here?
I think
Early.
Bowen is the last.
Oh, Bowen. Hi, Bowen. You go.
Yeah, I'm the last one. I am in favor. I like it. I think it's great, and I'm glad that we're able to be a part of it via you, Griff. And I pass it back. Oh wait, hey, hi Lorelai.
Hi, I'm not going to react because I didn't hear this proposal.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so then the proposal clarification round. How does Metacartel get funds? Only by people buying shares. That's it. So you buy shares in the governance. It's almost like a foundation, you could say. So it's a donation thing. Although you get to decide how your donations are spent, which is why it's so important that we're a part of these things. Yeah, and so proposal stands. I'll throw 10 ether in and do it under the Giveth brand. And I don't expect there to be any objections. Proposal passed. Okay, next. We have, what is it? Danny has a code of conduct proposal. Do you want to dive into that, Danny?
Well, I will, just to the extent that I really appreciate Chris and Kai's feedback. I Now that I read through it and do some research, I guess the thing I mentioned before is I found it really interesting. We all got really into our values and we all had a really great discussion about the ethics of the DAP. And we had the opportunity yesterday in the communications meeting, for example, to discuss how we collectively decide who to engage with and how. So I think what I really would like to do is amend the proposal, and this we can do around here just to solicit feedback. But what I'm wondering is, how do we better communicate our code of conduct and ensure that people who reach out to us know about it, agree to it, and maybe even extend this to, in some way, asking people to to say yes to our terms of service as it relates to our code of conduct when they join the DAP, or when they, well, it lists the different ways that people collaborate with us as Giveth. So that's what I'd like to get some feedback on, is how do people feel we want to ask people to agree to adhere to our code of conduct when engaging with Giveth. I hope that's clear enough, but let's ask clarifying questions.
I have a clarifying question. So are you proposing using the code of conduct for both people interacting with the DAP and for like interacting with the Giveth community? Because I feel those are
I
two very
am. I am proposing that we use it as a starting point to determine what do we ask people to agree to when they enter into the Giveth community by using our DAP or contributing to the community. Yeah, there's several different layers of how people interact with Giveth. So I'd like to understand, or to get some direction on what do we ask people to agree to when they sign on to use the DAP, when they come into our Riot chat rooms, and when they show up at our events. Let's lay it out as those three places. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other clarifying questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could go just quickly. I'm thinking like a designer. It's a professional deformation, maybe. Um, I see those. I see the code of conduct as a, the values incorporated from Giveth, right? And this is what we will probably be, and not probably, but this is what we will be communicating through our website, through our articles, through everywhere, right? And by doing so, even the projects themselves will speak about, will give a picture of our values, right? So when you land on a Giveth, you will see those projects. You will get an idea what they are, why we're here, why we're doing that, right? And that will actually reflect to everything we do. It starts with us first, right? And then we push it out to everyone else. When it comes to events, yeah, I made a comment on the code of conduct on Lumio. where we should like after we have like a full maybe couple of pages code of conduct, we should have like short like 4, 5, 6, maybe I don't know, up to 10 bullet points of the main things that we want to address, right? And this should be listed everywhere, right? So in Riot, when everyone joins, we can set up a bot that just pushes that and informs user when they are on our events. We have like a whiteboard and we write it down, and these are like a couple of just core values that we share to everyone. I think it's doable. Does that make sense?
Was that a clarifying question? Was there a question there?
That wasn't question. No, it was more like a observation. Should I
Yeah,
have asked
there's a
a
reaction
clarifying question?
round after
That
the
was the reaction.
clarifying
Sorry,
question.
sorry,
It's okay.
sorry. Okay, so I messed up the process. Sorry, guys. Oh my god.
Any other reactions or clarifying questions?
I do actually have another question. Would you propose
Okay.
to use this this rules, this code of conduct, as like grounds for removal from the community or from being able to access the DApp?
I see this as laying out what we would want to enforce graduated sanctions for. Yes. So I think I would say there's two purposes. Number one, what activities would we want to sanction, which could lead to removal from the DApp? And then the other side of that is making more clear what we mean by blockchain for good, I suppose.
Okay, cool.
I can fix the process now because I have a clarifying question. I just like on the Magicians Council in Paris, there was like Maria also set up this code of conduct and she was pushing that forward. I just wondering whether we should also slightly like incorporate that or maybe align with that, or does that make even sense? Or I don't know, just an idea, just thought.
I imagine Danny hasn't seen Maria's
Yeah,
thing, so.
I can't comment to that, but I'd love to get a link to it. If you could share whatever that would be to consider into the Lumio.
I'm gonna find it right now and send it. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if no one has further clarifying questions, what I'd like to amend this to is that there's 3 different places that we want to ask people to take a look at our code of conduct and potentially agree to terms of service. And that would be to interact with our online community, to represent Giveth and interact in person at events, and then to utilize the DApp. And I feel like those are 3 disparate groups that have some level of agreement on how to conduct ourselves and what might be what are considered sanctionable activities.
Cool. So let's start the reaction round. Who wants to start?
All right, I'll start. So there is so ours is forked from Aragon's code of conduct, which they forked from Convent, which is forked from Citizen code of conduct or whatever. I don't know. It's like forks of forks of forks. My main problem with the proposal is that I'm not sure what the actual proposal is, because we said in Barcelona last time that we want to work on all these things. And for me, the actual proposal would be to have worked out like our code of conducts, one for whatever, one for the one we have now is for software contribution and expands the realm of communication. So I mean, that can stand, or like I would be in favor of just letting that be and focusing on other things. So I think what we really need to do in these kind of things, and that's my opinion, is really form work groups, talk about these things, work up proposals, then propose them, so we have something we can actually decide on, because there's nothing here to decide on except maybe Donnie, you meant like that we work on these three, which is maybe also okay, but I would love to for these kind of things to be, I don't know, I think we should be more careful when we want to harvest sentiment, when we actually want to work on things, and when we actually propose something. Because a proposal to me is something that has been worked and talked on a lot. It has been harvested. There has been a process of inquiry with everybody else. And something like these code of conduct things, especially talking about sanctions, which are like, we can say, okay, we do want some sanctions, but like we would need to talk a few weeks to come up with sensible sanctions, and then we probably need to kick them all over again and then make them new, because we have none so far. It's very hard for us to make them, and it's a very sensitive topic. And once we have them in place, they should be enacted. On the little thing that nobody found the code of conduct, it's a little thing. I'm not in favor of how we structured the wiki, and I was just waiting for something like this to appear. By burying stuff within layers of layers, it gets buried. It was linked from the website once, but that was censored away from the website. And if I sound contentious, I'm not. I stopped smoking, guys. So like, it's very good, but I'm like a frozen petal. You know, like if you touch me, I'm like, yeah, and I crumble. So I all this comes from a place of love, and I just want to give my honest feedback. I've been thinking a lot these 2 weeks. I've been reading a lot about commons, about policy, about structures. The thing that really pushed me on this thing where it was like, no, I'm gonna block this, is actually the thing you posted, Dani, which was a critique of radical exchange. And now I'm very wary and anti-radical exchange, because I found out that it really does not correspond with my anarchic values, which is crazy. But I mean, I see Griff nodding a lot. There is these are somehow also new topics to me, or not. Like, we all have a different exposure to politics, economical and political politics. And I think these are very, very important things. And it also comes down to me to like, what do we really want to be changed, like, and how do we get there? And I'm very sure that I did not help the discussion at all at this point, but made it more crazy. But I think it's really, this is one of these topics where we can, if you start to open the door, it opens very wide.
Yeah, we're gonna run short on time
Of
here,
course,
so.
and this was my last thing, and yeah, somebody else take it. I don't want to push that.
I think Josh has to go soon, so.
All right.
Yeah, I'll say a few words if that's all right. Yeah, I just wanted to say that in the comments as well, Kai, here taking the appreciative approach in it. But in regards to like making these decisions and things like that, it seems like we need working groups, as Kai's suggesting, but then comes the question before that of where's the time for the working groups, because it seems that we haven't built slack in the system for this. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like there's no slack in the system to enable that, which means that we're continuously blocked at these hurdles. So we can kind of make all the decisions in the world, but if we can't actually act on enabling them to be worked on, then there's a issue there to address. Just a thought. Maybe there is time, maybe other people think, but I don't see working groups, and I don't see working groups formed because people are kind of focalized on various bits and bobs. So how do we create more space for ourselves to form collectives that enables emergent work to happen? I can pass that on though. Danny, maybe? I don't know. We start the question. I'll pass over to your direction.
She's the one person who can't go, so I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, I think that we need terms of service for the DApp. It's a stopping point before we ever let lots of people use it without a lot of handholding. So it's a thing. Code of conduct is fun. Probably not the highest of all priorities, but it's always one of these things where when people feel passionate about it, doing something that we need to do, then I like to say yes and we push forward. So, or like just give people the authority to do what they think needs to be done. But again, it's probably not the highest priority, but we need to implement in terms of service for the DApp. So I'll pass it to Chris.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with like the beginning of what Kai said. At some point, I lost his train of thought a little bit, although he stopped smoking, but still. So I agree with the fact that we that to me it doesn't seem like a real concrete proposal. So I'm missing something. So I would say like yes, we need terms of service for the DApp. So that's to me it's just like someone starting to write it out. So if you feel strongly about it, Danny, like please go ahead. When it comes to events, I don't think we need that because we don't do that many events and people tend to behave at events. For our community, for our chat, I don't think it's too buried in our wiki in the sense that it's not that important and we don't want to impose too many rules on people. If people feel that people are misbehaving in our chat, we can just put it at the top of our general chat or wherever the people are talking most, a link to our code of conduct. On the other hand, I think we can just link to it when people are misbehaving. So to summarize, I would say if we need terms of service for our DApp, if you feel like starting to write this out, Danny, that would be fantastic. It's one of the many things on our a long list of to-dos that I made myself. And it's like basically for me, it's already in the ethics of the DApp discussion. At the end, we had some very concrete things we wanted to put in there. So yeah, so my reaction is go for it. And I give it to Lorelei.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I see lots of mini proposals here that to me don't connect to like one conjoined proposal, and unless if that proposal was to just start a working group on this stuff. Because I think that the terms of service for the DApp is like very different from code of conduct for our community, and I think that we shouldn't assume that no matter where we scale, like people who are users of the DApp will also be the Giveth community that we're interfacing with. There comes a splitting point. Like users of Facebook are not like the Facebook community. No one in the offices is like considers them part of their family or whatever, affected by them. So there's a point where those two separate, and so I think that like terms of service actually could be a different document and includes some different things than like a code of conduct for our community behavior with ourselves. And then regarding the code of conduct one, to me, the thing I see needing to be done is actually incorporating the code of conduct into an onboarding process for being a part of the Giveth community, working with us, attending our events, whatever. And that's a different use case to me. And I definitely would appreciate that. I think that some things, some missteps have been made in the community that could have been avoided by having some even little clear onboarding process that's like, hey, you need to read this. Hey, you've been to like 3 meetings now. You need to read this and agree to behave, within these values. So anyways, those are my ideas. I totally see like the possibility of a working group on this. I would be happy to work on it with you, Danny. And I don't think it should take too much energy right now. That's my reaction. Gus, did you react?
You haven't yet. Go for it, Gus. You're muted.
He's looking for the window. Maybe.
No, he's okay. You're muted, Gus.
What about now?
There you go.
Yep.
What about now?
Good.
Okay, cool. No, I was saying that yeah, I tend to agree, of course, with forming this working group. I agree with the fact that maybe it should be separated somehow, the code of conduct with terms of service on the of the DApp. Just wondering about how prioritized this will be and how much effort this will have, but I think this is something that can be openly definitely interparallel with other stuff and assign the priority and effort that people will have. So I'm okay with it. And pass it to, I don't know who's left. Bowen, who be?
Yes, I'm also in agreement. I think that it needs to get done, and if that is the windmill that we're going to attack next, I am for it. And I believe that the observation that the terms of service and the code of conduct are two completely different things. Though I think that they can be somewhat related because they're going to involve the same ethics, I believe. And with that, I'll just give it back to Danny.
Yeah, and I'm going to just take all of these comments. I'm really grateful for all of them and say that let's form a working group. I do have some strong feelings about some of these things. I am passionate about some elements of it based on things that were shared in several sessions at the retreat. So, working group, more to come from that working group in the future. Thank you for offering to work on it with me, Lorelei. And if anybody else would like to, please contact me directly. And I want to make sure that we have time for the fireside chat. So let's go there. Back to you, Griff.
Okay, so it sounds like the proposal is paused. Working group will form. Luke, so the last topic, which is kind of a fireside chatty thing, is that I met Luke in. Hey, Luke. I randomly ran into Luke. I don't know where or how online, but he's just launching a DAO for Curacao. Which is like a little island nation. Well, I guess they're part of the Netherlands, up the coast of Colombia, Venezuela. And
north of Venezuela. We're super tiny.
Yeah, a little tiny place. I've actually been there, but it's and so he said that he might have time to help out with Giveth, and he has a team of people, and so I just wanted to let him introduce himself, and maybe we could brainstorm some things that we'd want a team of relatively DAO experts, at least they've launched a DAO, to help with Giveth. So maybe, Luke, you can give more of an introduction.
Awesome, yeah. So I'm Luke. I was born in Curacao, a small Caribbean island. About 150,000 people live there. A year ago, we founded the Caribbean Blockchain Network. We wanted to connect the people of the Caribbean using blockchain. Back then, we had no idea what a DAO was. We just knew that we wanted to connect the people. And then this kind of evolved into now the CuraDAO, which is more like a pilot, which we want to evolve into a full-grown sustainable pilot that aims to create sustainable development in Curacao. But our core team, let's say core, we have no funding, nothing. So we're about 6 students. Most of us are in our last year or have just finished our bachelor degree. We have some computer scientists, we have some business people. I did business and philosophy, so I'm not the strongest coder, but we really want to gain experience, and it's kind of hard to connect with more people if you're stuck in Curacao. I'm lucky that I moved to the Netherlands, so I can move around Europe and go to Berlin and stuff, and then I think it's there where I met you or where I met Max. But a lot of these students don't have these benefits, and it would be great to place them at Giveth or other related projects.
Nice. Well, does anyone have any ideas on what projects we might want like a team of students to tackle? Does anyone have like? I mean, for me, I'd be curious if like we could get DAOs working on the DApp, since and like because the Giveth DApp is like an escrow system, uh, or it could be used in an escrow system, which I think a lot of DAOs need. Where it's like, okay, we'll fund your project, but then like it sits there until you actually do the work, right? And right now we have like some pieces and parts that can be used to make things attach, but we don't have any concerted effort at it. So I don't know.
What is
From
coming?
our
What is
side,
coming? What is coming to my mind, sorry, Griff, is the decision that we passed today about given joining the Meta Cartel DAO. I mean, so far we are empowering you to be our representative against that DAO, okay? But we don't have like an agent and a smart contract somehow that could be the give us representative against that DAO, and maybe that participation is governed by the Giveth DAC somehow. For example, if we're just looking for DAO related projects that people can experiment with and gain experience with, I don't know, would be an idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it also. I was the funny thing is I see in chat the thing we wanted to discuss, which was actually very important. I thought we'll probably move it to next week, but one of the things I wanted to mention is I feel it's about time that we chose for ourselves how we want to be a DAO, and I think if we start to be a DAO, because we kind of skirt around it very nicely and be like our soft DAOs. But I feel like it will be so. First of all, this is wonderful with Curacao, and you guys building there. And I think if we become a DAO ourselves, it will be much easier to interface in a DAOified world, which seems to be breaking the dawn or whatever. Don't know how to say this. All right.
So like doing the unicorn DAC as a DAO.
No, I mean a real DAO. Like I mean like jointly operates the whole Giveth thing as a DAO, like
Yeah.
in the full sense of being a DAO. I know I don't want to trigger anything, Griff. It's like, but you look very calm. I know there's been a lot of progress here, and it would be like I feel it so. I feel everybody feels this tingle in his like hands and brain that we want to be part of a DAO, and so this Meta Cartel DAO comes at a very good point in time. It's great to hear of the Cura DAO, which is actually a cool name. I hope people get the bridge. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? It's really awesome in my mind what blockchain can do to people that are sitting on a remote place with maybe not the greatest infrastructure or like not many people at all, and start to interface on their own with the wide world. It's exciting. I want to pass it on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Luke, do you have any thoughts, or can you say more about your team and what skills you guys have, or what you'd be interested in, like what you're looking for? Because obviously there's lots of projects and lots of things that you could do. Oh, you're muted.
I think it's a good point that once we're all DAOs, it should be more flexible and it should be easier to work together. We're at the same stage ourselves now that we moved from a soft DAO for almost a year to now becoming a real DAO. And I think once that's settled, that it's better to then take a look at what do you guys miss and how can we work together. We have a couple of like I said, software developers, but most of them are juniors. So we would mostly be assisting, I guess, projects that somebody in this group initiates, and then we can kind of assist as kind of I don't want to say remote workers for like we're not like Indians that you just hire in, but I guess assistants. um, I think that's the kind of the role I'm seeing, because most of our team isn't that developed, like that advanced yet.
Yeah.
I want to interject that we're all remote workers here. Like, there's 2 people sitting in the room, I think, which is Lorelai and Griff, but
I'm kind of in my mind. I have like this idea of like, let's say the core DAO team, or let's say we kind of would hook on. So not physical remote, but out of your network, let's say.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad we had this introduction. There's only 5 minutes left. Let's just use it for closing sessions, and we will talk more, Luke. I'm very excited to see. I mean, there's lots of random projects, Reward DAO, Unicorn DAC, working on the Giveth app. There's all sorts of cool stuff. Yeah.
Man, I just want to say, like, I know there are so many things, my brain isn't on it right now, but I come upon this desire so often, like, oh, I wish that like there was just like some, a novice dev team to call on. So I'm sure that there will be stuff. I personally am in morning brain, but but I'm really excited for the offer, and thank you so much for coming to this.
All right, thank you guys. I'm heading off. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything.
Yeah.
We'll stay in touch. Bye bye.
See you, man.
Bye. Okay.
And let's just do a closing round. I'll start. Thank you, guys. Good meeting. I'm so sorry, Chris. There was no decision. I went to the decisions tab, and I was just looking for things that had decisions, and I missed. My Lumio is now getting crowded with lots of things. Somehow I missed that you had a thread. So sorry.
Okay.
I would have loved to discuss that.
Well, what's our policy on, like, do we discuss threads or do we not discuss them in the meeting until it is a decision?
It's a soft policy. So, but you want to check out?
Sure. Yeah, that was a useful meeting. And yeah, I am excited that we have like real some protein in our in our community meetings these days. And like really thankful for the thoughtful proposals from Danny and from Chris. We've got like lots to chew on for sure. Yeah, love you guys. I'll pass it to Bowen.
Yes, it was a great meeting, and I guess a couple of us are sticking around for the social coding thing afterwards. So that's awesome. It's good to see everybody, and I actually look forward to next week's meeting now that I got the chance to take a look at what Chris was talking about, and on that I'll pass it over to Chris.
Yeah, no worries about missing the proposal. Well, the proposal starts with saying, the reason that I put it in a thread is because, of course, I want to come to a decision. But the thing with decisions on Lumio is that you only have 500 characters. And this is too complex a topic to just like have people only be able to put 500 characters in. So I wanted to give people the space to reflect on it. And so even if we don't come to a final decision next week, I don't mind it. I just wanted to like continue that discussion. So, and apart from that, thank you for, I'm so happy that there were so many people again in this meeting and that I joined. And thanks for the proposals that we did discuss. And yeah, I think Kai looks really sexy with his hair shaven off, and I give it to Kai. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna make me blush because I'm 10. No, it's really nice to talk to you again. It was great to have some time to think. Croatia is awesome. I hope Marco can spare some time tomorrow when I will be traveling to Zagreb and can join me for a beer or coffee or whatever. So very cool to see all of you. I just want to remark on this thing that Lumio is a tool for decision making and not for proposal crafting, which is an interesting thing. And just like a short, I can't join the social coding meeting, but I just wanted to give a little spark because there are so many people. I'm really thinking, don't know how I put it on blockchain, but for the next hackathon, I would love probably to make a tool for proposal crafting and forking, which is proposals and sanctions that can be collectively made and forked by other people. All right, and thanks. I give it to Marco.
Thanks, Guy. I'll just quickly thanks everyone for a great meeting, very informative. What else? Hope to see you all in Berlin or whoever is coming. And yeah, that's all. Thanks, everyone. And I pass it on to who didn't go.
Did Gus go?
Gus? Yep.
Yeah. I'm on mute. No, I'm not. Okay, so yeah, nothing really to add, unless that I'm really looking forward to receive some news from the Meta Cartel DAO. Also willing to join the team, Danny of the Code of Conduct, if that is okay. Is there a social coding meeting happening right now?
It's not a real social coding meeting.
Oh.
It's a work session with Bowen and Danny and me.
Okay, can I join that?
Sure.
I don't know.
Just
to be to
yeah.
What happened if not I can leave?
Who else is needs to go?
Danny. Danny, I'll check out. Yeah, I just haven't had the bandwidth to really apply and answer Chris's thread. I value being able to discuss and use that as a bit of an advice process when it's a thread like that. And if that's misusing the system, and I did that before, I'd like to think about that and receive any other feedback there is for it. That said, I just don't have a lot of space this week for a whole lot of things, and I feel like I would really like to dive into that a little bit more with over the next week to be able to talk about it great with lots of spaciousness next week. And that said, excited to have a chat about the social coding thing. And so thanks everybody. This has been real and real awesome. Back to Lorelei, did you check out?
Yeah, Lorelei checked out. I think
Okay,
did everyone check out? Bone, did you check out? Yep. Okay. So thank you guys. I'm gonna end the live stream. See ya.
Okay.
See you guys.